Okay, everybody. Good evening or good morning, depending on where you are at right now. Super glad to see everybody. Happy New Year. I hope your new year is starting out really, really good for you. I hope it's starting out really good. I thought I would talk a little bit about this issue. I thought we'd dig into health a little bit. If that's cool, let's make sure we stay engaged on the chat bar. Maybe you're watching the replay. If you watch the replay, well, stay engaged on the replay. What's up, Jim Clark, my beautiful wife? How are you? Here's the thing. A lot of people that start going into New Year, it's all about losing weight, right? It's about losing weight. And hey, Gabe, what's happening? And I like to, anybody that's been in my world, you know that I believe in releasing weight, not losing weight, because once you start to understand the mind, you know that your mind, when you lose things, your brain wants to find it, right? But I want you to release it. So here's what I titled this. It's not a lose weight issue. It's a marketing FU issue. That's like one of the big things is what's happening in the world, why a lot of people are struggling to, and let's face it, why are you trying to release weight in the beginning? I mean, let's talk about the problem. There's a couple of problems there. One of the problems is maybe you want to release some weight because maybe you don't like the way you look. Maybe it's a physical image. And as we go through these, I want to give you not only maybe the feeling and thing you're dealing with, but the contrasts to it. Like what might be causing this, right? So you all of a sudden sit there and you go, you know what? I want to release weight, and it's because I don't like the way I look when I look in the mirror. It bothers me, right? It bothers me. But really what is happening there is the comparison effect. See, the only reason it bothers you is because you're comparing yourself to either another time, another you. So you're like, when I was 18, I was ripped, and so there's that comparison. The other comparison is the world, right? So that's another comparison, the TV actors, the magazines, your friends on the internet. So you have that comparison effect. And then the other comparison effect that you have is the comparison of someone else's future. So you see your dad, your grandmother, your uncle, and you go, man, I'm like that. They're older, maybe they're haven't taken care of the health, they're sick now, and you're like, I don't want that. So the problem is you're dealing with a whole bunch of these different comparisons. Now, the other thing you're dealing with is you're dealing with childhood programming, right? We'll talk about that a little bit. And you're dealing with influence. It's such a 1-2 punch, right? So let's talk about childhood programming as a problem. How many of you as parents, and I know you may not want to admit to it, but come on, raise your hand a little bit. Hey, Jack, you said, eat all your food on the plate. You told your kids, eat all your food on the plate. And then you're like, because they're starving children that want that food. So now as a child, you've been taught, don't feel bad about this. I'm doing the video so we can find out how to improve this. And all of a sudden, this child learns to stretch its eating. It's taught to eat things it doesn't enjoy. It's taught to maybe eat things that its body's saying, I don't even want that. Not everybody is peas or carrots or broccoli the best in the world for. But you did as a parent, you said they're vegetables, I'm going to force the kid to eat it. So now the kid grows up forced to eat everything on their plate, and they consume maybe too much. So now we have that as a child. Then we have the second thing, child issue that comes in about releasing weight is the reward system, right? In school, if we all get a good grade, it's ice cream day. If you did all your chores, you're going to get a lollipop. And if you do a good job, you're going to get a Slurpee. So now we have the reward system. These are all the things that now, if you might think you have combated against it, but maybe you haven't. Maybe you're like, man, I still reward myself. Like, oh, we did good. Let's go out for Sundays, right? For ice cream Sundays. So you're dealing with that. The next thing you're dealing with is this stress thing. Now, anybody that's from an Italian family probably knows, and do me a favor, if you're on here, Joe Collins, how you doing, brother? Hit share, everybody, if you could just go there. There's probably a button, hit share, and throw it on your timeline so others can get this information too. So now what happens is you have this stress and your body part, so we'll talk a little bit about the chemical side of things, but then we'll talk about the serving side of things where someone said, you know what, you're really stressed. Let's go out for a drink. You're really stressed. Let me take you to dinner, right? So if you look at that part, and it goes back to step one, why do you even want to release weight? Because I like to say, let's not worry about releasing weight. Let's worry about getting healthier. And I'll give you some indicators for that, right? Let's not worry about losing weight first, releasing it. Let's worry about self-love first, right? Because we're going to talk in a little bit about guilt and shame that comes. Now, what's the other problem with releasing weight going into the new year? Because some of you are already getting ready for summer and, you know, bikinis or bathing suits, you're already thinking of this stuff. The other thing is the marketing influence, right? So I was walking through, I was going to take a picture the other day, I didn't, and I was walking with my wife through one of the grocery stores, and I walked by the aisle of the cereals. Now there's Cocoa Pebbles and Captain Triple Berry, Berry something, and all these things. And I sat here and I said to myself, I said, okay, so we think COVID's the problem. Now it is a problem, but is it one of the main problems? I don't know if it's one of the main problems. This aisle for cereal, I don't know about you, when you were a kid, you probably had your parents buy the cereal by the little toy that was in it. Put toy in the chat bar if you were one of those. You're like, well, if you got Lucky Charms, it had a cool magnifying glass or something like that, right? And then you were trained, they were training you again to get rewarded for eating. Now you have this marketing influence and they're showing you the images. You don't stand a chance in the store, do you? Like, unless you like go like this and walk by the aisle, you don't stand a chance against this influence, because this influence is talking right to you. And then if you're stressed when in there, you've already been trained how to eat when you're stressed. So marketing is attacking you everywhere you go. And they're the best in the world at it. Besides the pharmaceutical industry, let's just talk about the food industry. They're the best at showing you the colors, the words, the copies, the image, the emotion. You become nothing more than a puppet on a string to marketing manipulation. So that's the big part of the problem. Now, here's the opportunity that you have. Knowledge is not power, you know that. Applied knowledge is a sense of power, internal power and external. So what I want to do is give you knowledge. And before I'm done tonight, I want to show you how to apply some steps of it, okay? Now, the one opportunity here is for you to get healthier, right? The other opportunity is let's start taking back our mind. If we can get our mind back, we can also control the images, the manipulation that happens. We can control the internal chemical effects. Your mind can do so much more than you even imagine that it can do. All right. The other opportunity is this can start to reverse your age. It can reverse your thinking and reverse your age. And I'll talk a little bit about something I did to start to prove that out some. Now, I thought I would share a simple framework. Now, this framework goes back, let me do a screen share. This framework goes back quite a while to, and just give me either a thumbs up or throw a heart in the chat bar or something if you can see this here. This is something that I learned. I knew it early on, but from the age of probably 17, 18 on, it really influenced me to think. And it's this, it's a simple triangle, right? A simple triangle. And thanks for letting me know, everybody. In this triangle, in the middle, you have yourself. right? This is you. This is you. And then what you have is on one of these pillars, you have your mind. Now, your mind here, right? Your mind is everything, the thinking process, all the things that make you do the things you do, move the way you move, your body, how it functions the way it functions. That's your mind right now. Just a reminder, everybody that's on here, do me a favor, click a share. This is going to be very helpful for everybody. Okay. Now we have to get our mind right to get ourself right, right? So if we look at this, we have to get our mind right to start getting ourself right. Now, the next thing after the mind is we have the body, right? You have this physical vehicle of a body. Now, the body follows the mind. The mind doesn't follow the body. The body follows the mind. The mind, and we won't go too deep today. Maybe if you want me to do another video, I'll talk about all the different minds and brains of the body. It's more than you think. It's more than a head brain. The heart has a whole brain aspect. We're not going to go into that tonight. I want to make this simplistic. I want to make it impactful for you, and I want to make it actionable. So, but if we look at the mind, we get that right. Now we have the body, and I'm going to give you a little tips for the body on how you could start to get that aligned with the mind. Now, if you get your mind and body right, well, you probably know there's one more piece to it, right? And I call it spirit. You could call spirit anything that you choose to call spirit. If you want to call spirit your soul or whatever, your light, I'm okay with whatever you want to call spirit. But spirit now, and you being able to connect at a higher level internally and externally, right? Really being able to tap into a sense of yourself on what's best for yourself. And that comes with clarity of alignment from this. It comes from the mind to the body to the spirit reconnects to the mind. Now, if your mind, and tell me if this makes sense, and thank you for talking in the chat bar here. If you're fighting against your mind, do you start to lose your spirit? Yes or no? Type in the chat bar, yes or no? You do, right? Your mind gets all flaky and your spirits go down, and someone says, it looks like you're really, your spirits are broken, your spirits are down. When your spirits are down, do you treat your body better or worse? You treat it worse, because when your spirits are down, you know what? I'm either going to eat sugar, I'm going to eat carbs, I'm going to go for alcohol, I'm going to go for drugs. I'm going to find a way to go from spirit to my body, right to my mind, so I could stop it. And then what happens is you have this reverse cycle happening, right? It starts to go this way now. And that's not what we want to happen. Okay. So if you could just draw a triangle and remember this mind, body, spirit, and feed the mind first, feed the body second, it feeds the spirit third, boom. And now we start to grow. Okay. Let me stop the sharing for that. I hope that's a helpful little model for you. Now, what are some actions that you can take on this to start helping you? If one of your things is either releasing weight or getting healthier, I'd rather talk about how to get healthier, but I know that in the world, people are looking, I want to lose weight, I want to release weight, I want to get rid of, the muffin top, I want to get rid of some fat pocket or something. And I'm not here to judge any of that. I just want you to get to the part where you feel really good about you. Now, here's some actions that you could do. One, you can start to rewire your mind, right? And some of you might be able to do it yourself. I find it took decades to be able to rewire parts of my mind. I mean, decades to do it, and a lot of training and a lot of learning and a lot of, so much stuff. Normally, if you want to rewire your brain, it's so much quicker to find an expert, join a community, be around people that's what they're doing. They're constantly, and I'm going to bring you, and tell me if this is good information. Can you type in good in the chat bar and be sure to share it with other people? Because part of what I want for Food Dog Group this year, and a lot of you guys have been following Food Dog Group, is I want to bring you information that you can apply and you can share it with your family, and you can help start changing yourself, your family, your friends, your community, and then everything will start to change. Okay. So I want to make sure of that. The next thing is we want to start to defend against things. Now that might sound a little, martial arts defense, but we do. We want to start to defend against the manipulation and what the marketing is doing to us. You have a choice on how you see things when you know how to choose how to see it. If you don't know how to choose how to see marketing, marketing will take you over. It will. How do I know? Walk down the ice cream aisle. Okay. You walk down the ice cream aisle and all of a sudden you see my wife and I, if we get ice cream, first we're trying to see if there's something that might be coconut or made out of something else. We try to make sure there's minimum ingredients in it. Now, is that as sexy as chunky monkey with sprinkles and cookie dough? No, it's not. I mean, that stuff just all of a sudden you think about it and you start to salivate and you look in the picture and it's colorful. Imagine this, when you're a child, let's put a little ribbon around this understanding. When you're a child and you're born and you're just sitting there and you don't know anything to look in colors, you see fireworks and you see TV and these colors are so attractive. Then you walk down the ice cream aisle as a kid and you see chocolate. It's just chocolate looking, no other color. But then you look over and then there's this popsicle. It's got a million bright colors on it, sprinkles all over it. Which one you think? The kid doesn't even care what it tastes about. The kid visually is attracted to that. And so are you. So the number 2 action is you got to defend against this. Now, there's some things you could do to defend. Like one, if you're not good going in a store, don't go in damn stores. Hire somebody to go in the store for you. Okay, today you got these door dashes and all these things. Don't go in the store, right? Same thing. If you can't go on Amazon or a food place without clicking the chunky monkey ice cream or something, don't do it. Okay, pick somebody and say, I need you to place this order for this. Now, I'm not telling you, my wife's on here, so I'm like a one side or the other. I don't float well back and forth, so I haven't done any caffeine for over a decade now, no gluten for over a decade. Why? I'm not somebody that could eat a little gluten, and I don't have a celiac or any of that. I just don't have that, that temperament that I could eat like a little bit of gluten and then not, or drink a little caffeine and not. I'm like all in, or I got to be all out. It's just how I function. And I found out when I'm all out, I'm not craving to go in at all. What did I do? I just hacked myself. I told my mind I'm not a caffeine drinker. I'm not a gluten eater, right? So it's not like, oh, I stopped eating gluten. I'm not a gluten eater. I just don't do it. Now, I'm not telling you not to do it. What I am trying to share and help you kind of find for yourself is, what are you willing to do to live as long as possible, feel as good as possible, right? Have the energy that you want. Okay, so the next thing is you got to put a defender against that. Use someone else to buy the stuff. The next thing is listen to your body. I mean, come on. Now, I love sushi. I do. Sushi is just one of my favorite things. It's also one of the things, sushi, is that the rice, like all of a sudden, an hour after I eat sushi, I look like I'm pregnant, right? My stomach goes, blows up. I kind of look at my body and say, that's probably not the best thing to put all that rice in there. How do I know? I'm listening to my body. Be honest with me. Anybody watching this video, how many of you know that something's about to happen because you're going to eat it, but you just tell your body, forget it, I'm just going to let you experience it? Now, I'm not perfect either. Trust me. I'm not sitting here saying I have all the answer, know all the things. I'm just here saying, you know what? I learned some things, and maybe these things will help you, right? So the next action item is, let's just start listening to our body, right? The next thing, let your inner thoughts. Now, who has a mind that races a million miles an hour? It's like, right? Lots of noise, lots of always thinking. Well, that happens with a lot of people because there is a lot to think about today. I mean, think about it. We watch these shows. My wife and I watch some of these shows like Mongols and stuff, right? What do they got? A block building, candles. They're eating like turkey leg or something, like pretty simplistic. I guess the thing for you to worry about is like eat and make sure your candles don't blow out. Today, you got electric and bills and computers and Zooms and all this stuff. I mean, there is a whole lot of stuff to be thinking about. Now, the magic for you of your inner thoughts, because the only way you can start to listen to your body is you got to start to listen to the inside. But if your mind is racing over everything, oh, did I piss this person off? Is that one happy? Do I have to go to the store tomorrow? What's going to happen in the morning? Blah, 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 blah. Do I go to the mall? Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is it winter? This person's sick. This one's healthy. That one got someone sick. And all of a sudden, you can't reflect on the inside of your body to start listening to the inside. Okay, listening to the inside. Next thing. Now, as I give you something, Joe, and it stands out for you, you're like, you know what? I got to start doing that. I got to start listening to this. Do me a favor, type in some action items, because when you hear me talk and you put a note, your mind goes, click, registered. I'm going to do that. All right. The next action item I want you to consider doing is, have you ever sat down and just wrote out, what would you like your perfect health to look like? Your health. What do you want your weight to be? What do you want your blood pressure to be? What do you want your heart rate to be? What do you want your temperature to be? What do you want your energy to be? Most people only know one aspect. They go, this is how I look. I like it or I don't like it. Right? That's how they function. Most people in the world, they're just the visual looking. But what if we mapped out the whole thing? Like, here's how I want my brain to think. This is how I want my eyes to see. This is how I want my ears to hear. And we mapped out that picture of what we want. You tell me in the chat bar, if we mapped out a picture of our health, would we have a better chance of getting to that picture than not? Of course we would, because we would be thinking about holistically instead of individually. Most people are just thinking individually, one thing. I want to fit in my veins. So I'm like, okay, that's good. But do you want to live 20 more years? That sounds better. If we could do both, that's cool. You kind of look amazing anyway. You know, when people kind of look at themselves, they're always thinking other people are judging them. I mean, one thing about health is, and let's put it as an action item. I didn't put it here, but let's remove our own guilt and our own shame and our own suffering. I mean, you know how many people, and I'm doing martial arts for like over 3 decades. So I could tell you a lot of people that trained, they wanted to get tougher. Some of them trained, they're just like, I want to get fit. Some of them trained, they're like, I don't like the way I look. It always comes down to, I said, look, before we get started, let's just do something. Let's get rid of the judgments of yourself. Okay, let's do that. Because if I say to you, judgment's gone and judgment's on you, which life will be better? I'm pretty sure you say, well, if I could get rid of judging myself, like, I don't like the way this looks, I don't like the way that looks, I bet I live a little better, right? And then what about shame? When you see people talk to themselves, especially as they start gaining age and wisdom, they say this, look what I did to myself. I said, that's not what you did to yourself. This is the transformation that happened. Now, it may not be the transformation you wanted, right? But it's a transformation. Realize when things happen for you that are good and things happen that you feel are not good for you, it's still a transformation. Transformation, people think, oh, it's always a good thing. It's like a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? No, it doesn't have to be. A transformation could be a butterfly losing a wing. It's still a transformation, right? The last part of the action I want to give you is start to get some numbers, some indicators for you. Most people have they probably have 2 indicators, one measurable and one visual. The visual is how they look. The measurable is today you get these scales, they're amazing. I don't know. Well, I think it's Renpho, RENPHO or something scale. Thing's amazing. Hooks up to your phone, you stand on it. It gives you your water that you're carrying. It gives you visceral fat. It gives you your weight. It gives you, it gives you like 10 different indicators. Now, how you feel about the indicators, that's going to be something different, but let's create a baseline. Let's create a business. If you had a choice of like weight or like the best heartbeat ever, like I want the best heartbeat because I think then I could then release weight. If I have a bad heartbeat, well, then it's probably harder to do that. So let's put the indicators in an order of saying, hey, this is what I would like to do. Now, the result of when you start to put some of these things in place, and I'm going to share, and trust me, I'm no special than you. I'm just telling you some things I did. And actually, I'm doing it next week again with my wife and the daughter. We have a company called Inside Tracker. I don't own it. If you want to do it, let me know. I have a link that will save you, I think, 25%. Just private message me. I'll send you the link. And they come to your house, they take your blood, and then they run like, I don't know, there's like 45 different biomarkers. Now, someone told me probably, I mean, we're doing this at least, it's got to be at least 7 years now, twice a year doing this, because someone told me the life force, or I don't remember how they said it, but it was like, your life is your blood and your blood tells all the stories. And I was like, okay, sounds like a smart thing. Then when I started looking at blood and looking at testosterone and vitamin D and C and magnesium and all these things, I started to see a story. And then they have this thing called the inner age now, because they look at your blood and how it runs, and it goes, that's the age. So I was 49, I think, when I did it that time. And it said my inner age was of a 58-year-old. So I was aging 10 years older. And this is a tricky thing. The body's a complex thing, man. It's not a one formula. Like I used to be, and type in GNC if, and Joe Collins, when we're done, do me a favor, just private message, PM me, and I'll give it to you, okay? So I used to go to GNC. How about you guys? And I'd walk in there and go, okay, what should I be taking? And I go, oh, men's multivitamin, Mega Men, right, Joe Collins? I'm sure you did it too, brother. Mega Men, it's a big body, like you need that. And I'm like, what else? And I'm taking all these things just because this guy said it. No blood testing, no nutritionist, no nothing. Now I'm taking this Mega Men shit. Now all of a sudden my blood says I'm aging by 10 years. I said, shit, this is no good. This ain't no fun. So I said, I got to get this fixed. I got to find someone who knows how to read this blood report. And the cool thing about this blood report, it tells you a lot of what to do. Eat fish, take this, which is already good. But I went to a nutritionist and said, okay, read this report for me. Tell me what you see. Tell me what to do. So the last report I did was about 6 months ago. And now I'm level 51. And it said, my inner age is of a 41-year-old. Okay, I'm feeling better. I'm beating it by 10 years. Now, look, I'm going to take it again. After having COVID, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe I'm beating it, or it doesn't matter if I'm beating it or it's not what I want to be. The important part is I'm taking this health and living longevity into my own hands. Can we agree on something? Tell me if we could agree. If we can, type in longevity in the chat bar. Do you think the world, the government, and everyone else is fighting for your longevity? Do you? Or do you think you got to fight for your longevity? You got to fight for it. That's why I do it. A lot of people say, oh, I can't afford the blood test. I look at I said, can you afford to get sick? Can you afford to die early? Can you afford to let down your family? Can you afford those things? Because if not, you find a way to do it. Right? So that's one of the things I wanted to get you as an action item. You have to be able to do this. And if you do some of these things, you're going to get the results. The results are you're going to live longer and healthier. Now, look, one of the key things when we go back to the mind is stop creating your expiration date by your family's past expiration date. Okay? You're like, well, my grandmother lived to 85. I'll probably die around then. Okay, that's your expiration date. Stamped. I guess you'll be done then. I don't have an expiration date. I already know it's past 140, but like I'm not letting anybody else give me an expiration date. I refuse to. Why? Because no one knows when. No one knows when, but I do know something. That my expiration date probably moves further away with making actions. Now, look. I would say, a lot of people would say, well, this isn't easy. I agree. If you're dealing with your mind and the childhood hacks and the influences, it's not easy. When you start owning your mind, it becomes easier. Okay. Now, why does all of this work for you? Because you start to be in control, right? You start to be in control of yourself. When you get in control of yourself, guess what the gift is? You get to invite your family along. And anybody in New Jersey, hit me up for a PM if you want it. Like we have a place that comes, they just came the other day. It's kind of like mine and my daughter's thing now, like once a month, we have this person come, they give us like a vitamin infusion, right? They bring a bag of vitamins, they put it in, you sit there for an hour and you're just like, okay, good. And you feel better. Now, the thing is, when you're in control of this and you're doing these things, then you invite your family along. Hey, would you like to do this with me? You know, they say you're going to pay for your health either way. Pay to be healthier and live longer, or pay when you're suffering to try to live longer. Think about investments. Think about investment, everybody, in your life. What is the number one investment you think? I mean, it's going to be your health always. Everything else goes to shit after that, right? Your health goes down, relationships go down. Health goes down, your wealth goes down, right? Health goes down, your friends go down. Everything goes down with it. Now, here's a lot of the lessons that I learned through doing some of this. One, you gain a lot more energy. Okay, you do. Two, by going through this process, you start to remove guilt and shame and anxiety and this stuff, and you start getting excited about love. It becomes my wife's like might as well call her the puzzle master. She's like a master at putting puzzles together. This is your life's puzzle, right? Your puzzle for your health. It's like, oh, let me measure. Oh, let me stop buying Cocoa Pebbles. Oh, let me check my blood so I understand it. Let me tell you a quick story and then I'll bounce for you guys because we've been going a little bit here. I hope this has been really good for you guys. When I went to the doctors a long time ago, I don't know, maybe it's 15, 20 years ago. And the doctor takes your blood and you go for a physical and they go, oh, everything's within reason. Everything's, it's all within reason. Okay. Then I don't know if it was 6 months or a year later, I go, oh, this thing, you got to pay attention. This is no good. I don't remember what the hell it was, maybe cholesterol. I don't know. And I said, well, wait a minute. A year ago, it was great. Oh, I'm looking at the chart. You were borderline. I said, well, you didn't effing say I was borderline. You said everything was looking good. Now, all of a sudden, it's a problem. That's when I decided, you know what? You can't be ignorant to this stuff. You have to be educated. You have to know your own health. I mean, I watched in the hospitals and I have no doctorate degree. So, I'm not giving you doctor advice. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an attorney and a lawyer and all this. I'm just giving you some things to consider. You got to do your own due diligence. But I mean, when my dad was in the hospital and the doctors are saying this about his heart and that, and I look at it from common sense and said, this doesn't make sense what this is happening. Oh, and then in the end, they go, oh, that doesn't make sense. I said, well, I'm not the doctor, you are. But the thing that I do have is the ability to step back and look with a fresh set of eyes, okay? So let me give you some last action items to do. Here's what I want you to do. First, define your health. It's New Year's Day for most of you, or the day after if you're in Australia or somewhere else. Define your health. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? How do you want your skin to feel? How do you want your eyes to do? Define it, and don't define it through the situation. Define it the way you want to see it, because the minute you believe what you see, the mind starts to align the body with the spirit, and everything starts to improve. Everything starts to improve. The next thing I want you to do is start learning about your mind a little bit. Start learning like what's been hacking your mind. What's been, what childhood stuff is making you feel like when a good thing happens, you have to gorge on something, or when bad things happen, you have to do something. Start to gain control of yourself. Now, the rest of the world may not love you for it, but you're going to love you for it. Okay. Next thing is remove the influences out there. Just find a way. Don't go down the aisle. Don't go to the store. Today, what's such a gift is there's so many people. We have it sometimes. Sometimes my wife, she's like, oh, hits a couple buttons on the iPhone, and an hour later, somebody went to Target and brought stuff. Like, you don't have to go there. And for next to no money, and you're serving someone else to have a job. And when you serve others, it always comes back. So that's a great thing. You don't even have to go and be by the aisle. You don't have to be in the aisle, right? And the last one, get a baseline. Get a baseline. Okay. Get your numbers. Buy the scale. It's $80. It's probably less on Amazon. Step on the damn thing, record it, and don't hit yourself with shame or guilt. Just go, okay, that's the number. And now let's make some new decisions. And if I could help you and Food Dog can help you this year with resources for either your life, your relationships, or you're interested in what we got going on with the Freedom Tribe. We have a tribe of people that get together every week. It's like having a board of advisors for your life. I mean, what would your internal and external and your relationships and your health and your mind, body, and spirit look like if you were surrounded by like-minded people all driving for that? So if you're interested in that, otherwise, stay tuned. We have a lot more information coming from Food Dog this year to change your life. Just keep following and do me a favor, please, please share with other people that you care about and love so we could just play a part in changing the whole world. Have a great night, everybody. Boom.